What is up, Rolls? Josh here, and today's video is all about the Tier 10 IJN Cruiser, the Azuma. Now, this is still work in progress, so stats are subject to change, and we could see some changes before this officially goes live. Now, before the comments are filled with how is this ship going to be available, we have no idea. We don't know if it's going to be steel, coal, free XP, doubloons. We do not know yet. So just before a bunch of questions asked that, we don't have any idea. But again, stats are subject to change, and we might see some changes before this actually does go live. So the Azuma joins the Stalingrad as the battle cruiser of Tier 10. Now, Stalingrad, obviously one of the steel ships, so potentially Azuma could be a steel ship down the road. We just aren't sure. But it's really the second battle cruiser we've seen at Tier 10, and we're starting to see a big kind of push towards almost like an entirely new class of this battle cruiser line. Now, my fear for battle cruisers going forward is you have to be very careful how they balance them. Again, just looking at some stats, which we'll dive into, and then check out some gameplay, these battle cruisers just have a big health pool. And also, before people get into the comments of how the Moscow is a battle cruiser or whatever, I'm just going to kind of talk about the two that have stood out as battle cruisers. So just keep in mind that, again, they are in the cruiser class for the ship, for the game itself. But my fear for battle cruisers going forward is you have to be very careful, because what the ship is doing is it's gaining survivability, but it has to trade off something. So that's something with looking at this ship I'm a little worried about going forward. Again, with the Stalingrad versus the Moskva, you are losing that DPM but gaining survivability. With the Azuma compared to the Zao, the other Tier 10, obviously the Zao is going to be able to do more damage, but the Azuma doesn't seem to have quite the drop-off as I've seen with Stalingrad versus the Moskva. So maybe we might see a tweak to that going forward. But again, let's dive into some stats so this video isn't too long. Hit points, 71,800 hit points. That's not with survivability. Again, let's check out the captain so you can check it out really fast. This is actually not the captain I would be running. This is the captain I would be running. So priority target, adrenaline rush, superintendent for the extra boost, the concealment expert, radio location, expert marksmanship, and then jack of all trades with expert loader. This is my Zao captain, so I just threw it over to kind of get that same style of feel. Not probably the ideal captain for this. I don't quite know with battle cruisers if radio location is quite needed, especially with this. Maybe you want some AFT for the extra AA defense, because this thing will get obliterated by AP bombs. You almost got depth struck by AP bombs. Lol. But back to the Azuma. Big health pool. I mean, you look at the Stalingrad, and that's really the only thing that beats it at this tier, and that's even close. You check out the Zao. It has over 30,000 less health. So that's what you're getting. You're getting that big health pool to just make your life basically last longer, and then because you're kind of that mix between a battleship and a cruiser, and so you have to trade off with some you get the HP, you have to trade off with some DPM. Main battery, so this is where you're going to see the difference. 3 sets of 3 with a 15.8 second reload. Again, we'll check out the modules, so when looking at these stats, you do get the main battery mod 3, so that's why we get that reload, again, with all the premium consumables. So just AA, you do have the chance for hydro if you want. Spotter plane, pretty standard, which you want on IJN cruisers anyway, in the premium buff. But back to the guns, 3 sets of 3 at 15.8. Let's compare that to the Zao, which has 4 sets of 3, so more shells going out at a little bit faster. So that's why I'm a little worried about this. You do have more shells going out, but you have not that big of a difference in the reload. So maybe we'll see a tad drop in the reload for the Azuma, because that's a little too close for me. 9 shells obviously versus 12, and a little bit faster. But this is with demo expert as well, so normally a 27% fire chance and lots of armor pen, 51% with the 310s, or 51 millimeters, sorry, and then 33 millimeters with HE pen. So that's a little bit of difference. You do have those big shells at 310, comparing it to the Stalingrad at 305. So if you played the Stalingrad, it's kind of similar. It seems like to me. 19.1 kilometer range. I felt like that was pretty decent. And you do have the spotter plane. AA decent. AA, it was actually pretty solid. We were shooting out a bunch of planes, especially since we really aren't spec'd out. We do have the module. That's about it. 34 knots. Pretty standard for that. Decent rudder shift. And then the one part that really kind of sets the ship out for being as big as this ship is, and it kind of follows the pattern of IJN cruisers, is detectability by sea, which is the detectability of the ship of 11.6. If you compare that to a Hindenburg, which has both concealment module and concealment captain, the Hindenburg has a 12.3. So a battle cruiser will be out detecting what would be considered, I guess, more of a light cruiser. So be careful if you are Hindenburgs. Maybe radio location will be worth picking up, because a big, massive ship like the Azuma might be able to sneak up on you and blop you with those 310 caliber guns. So I have a couple worries with this ship. I have a couple worries with just new battle cruisers in general. But let's dive into some gameplay and show some footage of kind of what a normal game looks like. I had a couple really solid games, but I kind of want to show off this one because it's a bit more of a normal scenario and what you'll see on a more consistent basis. So here we are in game with the Azuma, and I picked this game for a reason. And I didn't pick my highest damage game. I didn't pick the game where it shows it absolutely slamming. I picked the kind of game where I felt like it showed how real this ship is. It showed some weaknesses, it showed some strengths, and I think overall it showed a very just balanced game, just a good game, a very normal game. And I felt like it was a good way to kind of show off this ship on both some of its strengths and then some of its weaknesses. Now, it is a bit more armored than the Zao. Obviously, you're going to have a bit of a higher detection, but still has just a ton of strength. And if you can get it into the right situation, has a very similar playstyle of the Zao. If you've ever played it, I would call this a more open water ship. And you'll see me do kind of the try-hard, angled away, lighting everything on fire playstyle. So this ship, I don't think playstyle will be for everyone. A lot of people might consider this ship boring. A lot of people might consider the Zao boring. You know, it's not quite as exciting as, let's say, the Henry or especially the Minotaur. You'll see the exciting life of a Minotaur this game. Other ships, I think, are going to be more fun, but I feel like this ship definitely does have a role, and that is just the bigger, buffer Zao brother. Because what you see is, oh, I would do that same kind of thing with the Zao. Oh, that is what I would kind of do with the Zao. This, though, since you are tankier and you have a bigger health pool, you have the freedom to, I would say, maybe stay a little bit angled and tank a little bit more damage. You know, maybe show a little bit more of a broadside than you would in a Zao. All this kind of stuff together. And, of course, sorry about the replays. That's just what we have when it comes to the replays. But you'll see pretty much a Yamato focus me almost all game, so you'll see how tanky the ship is as well. And if you've ever played a Zao with the Yamato that doesn't like them, and there's the HE damage, pretty dang solid. I would put it right about on par of kind of Zao damage, and you'll see both big hits and little hits, but you'll see the fire chance as well. Actually is pretty noticeable. Right now we're kind of just floating back and forth, trying to read the map on where we can go. And again, so you kind of got to think about it. Where do we see a playstyle? Do we see a need for this? Do we see just comparing it to other stuff? And to me, it's just a bigger Zao. That's what it feels like, but it doesn't have torps, so you lose that extra little bit of I would say maybe a little bit of utility. But again, if you just have everything, also expert loader I think is fantastic for this ship, reloading HE and AP, and that's what happens. That's the exciting life of a Minotaur. So if you've ever played a Minotaur, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But accuracy wise, with how big these shells are, I still find it extremely good. And again, it doesn't quite feel like battle cruiser reload. You know, it tends to be when you're ready to fire again, the next shot's up for this. And again, I apologize, guys. That's just the replay system that we have right now. That's just how the spotter plane looks for us. But you'll see right here too, kind of how much I can kind of bounce. We will take a little bit of damage here. Again, we are a bigger cruiser, so we do have to worry about those broadsides, and a Cleveland taking a nice little hit too. But we do have the ability to disengage when we need to, since we are a cruiser that has not the highest detectability. We do have that ability to go dark and get it. So we have that IJN playstyle. Again, we don't know how this is going to be sold, if it's going to be steel, if it's going to be doubloons, if it's going to be coal, free XP. My guess is, with how patterns have gone, I would have to say, again, this is work in progress, I would have to say it's going to be, it's going to have to be most likely a steel. Not have to be, but most likely a steel ship, just with the pattern that we've seen, which would be kind of interesting to have a second battle cruiser be a steel ship reward, but that's just might be how it goes, and that's might be what they kind of do. Other than that, I don't really feel like you you know, the Salem, and as you see, it's still a cruiser. We still did take a torp, or not a torp, a Citadel right there from the Amato, but still kind of bouncing a few shells. Looks like that was really only about one or two actual pens with that. But there's also, I don't know, I like this ship. I really do like this ship, and I feel like this, as you see, we can still kind of bounce some shells too. I feel like there's definitely a place for this playstyle. You know, the Stalingrad is a playstyle I would consider extremely boring. It's a strong ship for sure, but I feel like the playstyle is not for me. Out of all the battle cruisers we've seen so far and tested so far, so we can just do a quick rundown. As the Stalingrad, the Kronstadt, and even the currently work in progress Alaska, this is my favorite one to play. It really is. So it's a battle cruiser that I definitely think fills a role for a lot of people, because I find this one to be just way more fun than the other ones. I found the Stalingrad to be extremely boring. I found the Kronstadt to be it's just not me, I guess. But this one especially is just, I like this style. Again, the Zao IJN Cruiser playstyle might not be for everyone, but for me, it definitely was a lot of fun for sure. But I feel like with battle cruisers, we have to be extremely careful. And I said that earlier, and I really want to kind of talk about that. Is you have to be careful with how strong they make these, and that's why I feel like maybe the guns fire too fast. And so you have a cruiser. Yes, it's bigger. It's not as agile. The detection is higher. But you have something with just a few second lower reload time. Now you are firing less shells, but they are bigger shells. You're going to be able to hit shells. I could have shown you a game where I was getting Citadels on cruisers and battleships that I wouldn't have gotten in the Zao. So there has to be that trade-off. And so going into that, I think you have to be extremely careful with these kind of new and upcoming battle cruisers. And as you can see right here, that's the AP that sometimes you will get as well, where you're just not getting that full pen. So this is why I think it's a pretty solid game. Obviously, we're gonna get way more than 13,000, but battle cruisers themselves, I think, are something that if you make them too strong and have them not have some kind of a trade-off or some kind of a downside, you are going to really have a tough time balancing cruisers, because, or battle cruisers at least, because the cruiser class will almost become obsolete. Because, well, why wouldn't I just, and there's a massive salvo right there, double fire, as well as 7 full pens for about 11,000 damage on that guy. If you make these battle cruisers have too high of DPM, then why really bring a normal cruiser? You know, if the Stalingrad had a higher DPM, why would you ever bring a Moskva? There's no real need for it. So you get a bit of a trade-off there. The Moskva still has a much higher DPM, but the Stalingrad has a much bigger survivability with the type of armor it has. Laps in Henry IV, I know, but same with this. Zao is going to probably be able to pump out more consistent damage, but this is going to be able to kind of shake off more. I mean, we've almost taken, like in this game, we've almost taken a full Zao's worth of damage. So that's kind of just one thing to kind of think about is one Citadel in this ship is a much bigger percentage than a single Citadel in a Zao's life. You know, that 12,800 or whatever the battleship rolls for their Citadels, that is pretty nasty when it comes to life pool size. You know, it's a little under a third health pool for the Zao. It's, you know, a 6 for this. So that's something just to kind of keep in mind. Now we did see that this was going to get balanced out to a 60-second for a fire, so you probably will want to run, if this does come out, you're probably going to want to run a bit more of a survivability run, although this has a lower detectability, so you do have an ability to disengage and kind of repair a little bit more and go dark. But it does have now the balanced 1 minute. That was confirmed, if you guys missed that all the high tier battle cruisers will now have a 60-second fire duration. So that was one thing that was originally just for the Alaska and just for the Azuma, but now it's across the board for the Stalingrad and Kronstadt. So maybe wanting to run, now this isn't really set up. This is kind of set up for just my Zao, this captain, and not really set up for the actual like a battle cruiser playstyle. And I wish, oh man, I wish the Yamato would have been continuing to push down. There were other games where we were just citadeling the heck out of battleships, getting really, really close. Now, your armor on the front end plating isn't super thick, so I remember like the first game we played, we tried to go toe for toe against Montana. Now, we were citadeling when we got close enough for sure, but he was absolutely just overmatching our armor, and he was destroying us. But still, even if you take 1 or 2 citadels, you have the ability to kind of shake it off a little bit more than you would of another cruiser, just because of the health pool size. Again, though, my thought process on this ship, it's a lot of fun to play. I really, really did enjoy it, because I enjoy the Zao playstyle. To me, this definitely feels, this is my favorite cruiser, or favorite battle cruiser to play so far in this game. Much more exciting if someone's gonna say, Mijesh, what do you recommend, the Azuma or the Stalingrad? You know, the Stalingrad may be better for the competitive scene, but I find this to be so much more fun. So much more fun. So it makes me excited for this as well. And we could kind of just slowly push into this, as you're going to see our team, or their team, all kind of pushed into the top right corner. And this is when I about pooed myself, because I didn't realize that the Shimo was still there. So you see me dodge some torps upcoming. I had no idea I had to dodge. So good job paying attention to the mini-map for me. But you still see a good mix of HE and AP. It had been a while. I'd been playing a lot of different ships, so I kind of blame my aim on that. We could have been able to do a lot more damage this game. I missed a lot of shots. But still, I would say relatively consistent on good dispersion. 7100 on an HE salvo. Then again, that's every about 15 seconds or so. You'll see me take some damage from the Yamato here, but we can still shake off a lot of damage. But Yamato's still the king of Lolpen, so we're going to be shaking off some of that. Not all of it, obviously, but still. But the Azuma, my thoughts, I think we'll end up seeing something close to it. Still work in progress, so it's all subject to change, but I think we'll see something pretty similar to this. I don't think they need to really change too much. The only thing that I would consider, and this is again a situation where I would not put myself in with the Zao or with a normal cruiser, but I would put myself in with this battle cruiser, and that is kind of tanking 2 battleships in a way. I mean, we're at 1.6 potential damage. We got a god tier gearing right here. We complimented him after. Shout out to the Iowa shooting HE as well. And we just ticked over 100k. So again, this game wasn't the highest damage we had done in this ship. It wasn't the lowest damage. I wanted to pick this game and just be like, this is a night. We're even getting overpins on a broadside Iowa. So the shells are kind of goofy. They're hit and miss, figuratively and literally. So, but man, if you get the right situations against USN light cruisers, it was just smoking. So we were just slapping them around and getting citadels left and right. And if you get the right ones, citadels on battleships, we were getting that too. So that's what we were trying to do a lot with these last couple games we did on stream. And again, if you need to, you can just start burning everything down, because it has pretty laser point accuracy. There's some salvos that kind of make you think a little bit. You go, what? But other ones, it has a great trajectory, and you're gonna find yourself kind of used to it, especially if you, again, the main thing I'm comparing this to is the Zao. So as you see, a lot of sitting here, kind of angled away, using your armor. I'm probably showing a little bit more broadside than I should, but that Iowa is going to go down, so we're going to kind of move out. And it's just a good farming ship that can kind of, you know, reward mistakes a little bit more. So again, what I think we'll see, something pretty close to this. It's an all gun, no torp IJN Cruiser that's in high tier, so a little different than what we're normally seeing. But I think we will see this maybe a tad different on the reload, maybe a small reload nerf. But something, I think the final version of this ship, I think, will be really, really close to what you're seeing right now. So again, this is work in progress, so it could be completely different. I don't know, but to me, it didn't feel like it was too nuts. You know, going back through, and the other real battle cruiser we can look at, the history-wise, is looking at Stalingrad, and that thing went through all different kinds of changes this seems like a pretty damn good. And see, that's kind of like the laser accuracy. So sorry, destroyers, but you're gonna kind of, if you can get close, you're gonna get picked on by this bad boy because it will absolutely slap. And I think we had the AA range as well. I normally run AA range, the module, just because it tends to be CVs focusing the new test ship. So that's the gift and the curse that we get for this. We're testing out those new ships, so maybe a little bit more accuracy, a little bit better accuracy when it comes to the live version, because I won't have to quite run them. We do have to worry about, though, is AP bombs, especially just like any real tier 10 cruiser, you get just blopped on, and it is not very fun. You do have a decent AA rating, though, which is kind of unique, I would say, for a lot of IJN lines. Zao has decent AA, but this definitely has a tad better. But overall, I don't see this. I see maybe like one change before this thing goes live. I would assume. We obviously don't know when it's gonna go live, so that's one big variable we're gonna have to watch. But I think we'll see something close. And I think we're almost there with the Azuma. Again, don't know how it will be distributed. Don't know how much it will cost, when it will cost, when it will be available. So I'm no help there. So we'll just watch for Wargaming. To me, it seems kind of like a steel ship. So we just got the Borgonia, so maybe a long way down the road. But again, we just don't know. But overall, I like this ship. It's my favorite battlecruiser. Just a nice, solid game, 144k with a nice 3-kill game, both fires and citadels, and just did Azuma things, and it's a lot of fun. But anyways, guys, here's my quick preview over the tier 10 IJN Cruiser, the Azuma. Still work in progress, so we'll see what the next version is, or if this is potentially the final version, and I look forward to playing it in the future. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.